All right, let's do this. It's time to go over some new Cyberpunk 2077 updates because we're talking about a brand new developer interview with CD Projekt RED. They spill the beans on walled districts within Night City, how perks and enhancements will influence the visual representation of the game. Are enemies bullet sponges? How extensive the animations are in-game when it comes to different gangs. That's really cool. Some amazing details about first-person perspective that you didn't know about, and more details about why the game was actually delayed. So a lot of stuff to go over. And remember, yes, later in the video, your top comments. Always leave a comment down below. It could end up in a future video. But welcome back, everyone. Open World Games here. Hope you all are doing good, and let's dive straight in, shall we? Oh, some updates about the December 10th release date. This is really cool. Cyberpunk was seen everywhere during the election, and it shows how much of a presence they have in terms of advertising because they've purchased a lot of billboards and they ended up on TV everywhere during the election. And my girlfriend even commented on, hey, I saw Cyberpunk during the elections, and I was like, wow, this game is really widespread with its advertising and marketing. So you could see they're really pushing that December 10th release date. Once again, Times Square ad right here. It was even seen during the election coverage as well. And then also the Adidas Cyberpunk 2077 shoes are being prepared to be released. Their release date has not been delayed, so it looks like November 11th is going to be the release date for those shoes. And it looks like people are already getting their hands on those shoes, so that's also really nice to know. And then the complete official guide has updated their date to December 10th more recently. So yeah, a lot of stuff is pointing towards the December 10th release date actually happening, so cross our fingers that this ends up being true. Now on to that interview. It's called Cyberpunk 2077 Dialogue in Night City, and this is an interview with Danielle Dury, principal gameplay animator of CD Projekt RED for Cyberpunk 2077. Let's see what they had to say. So first of all, special thank you to Kira-san, who translated the Italian version of this interview. That's the original version. So it says this. Sorry in advance for my English. Here's a summary. He talks about the many inspirations for the citizens of Night City, their style and their animations. They literally put in everything because Night City is very multicultural. Monks, scavengers, merchants, and many more. They took some inspirations from the cyberpunk literature. They took in particular an inspiration from a situation that happened in 1980s Hong Kong regarding the wall city of Kowloon, where so many people there were outlaws. They examined many documentaries on how this city was built and how people lived there in oppression. So this is actually really cool because there is going to be a walled area in Cyberpunk 2077 in Night City. And that's going to be more the warehouse district. And then there's going to be combat zones as well. But it's very notable about how oppressed a lot of the society is in Night City. It's basically collapsing in many parts of this world. All right, so let's keep going, shall we? So furthermore, this was the breakdown. It says, he says that the path you choose will not change your character animations because that was too much work. The first-person animations were built to give the feeling of someone who is an expert in weaponry, and weaponry is going to be a big part of this game, of course. Then it says the mocap animations were filmed with many movie inspirations. Examples for the Yakuza Corpos, they watched many movies of Takeshita Kitano. If I mispronounce this, I apologize. And then it says for the Nomads in the Badlands, they watched the Mad Max series and many more. So that's really notable, actually. So yeah, the first-person animations aren't going to change depending on what class you choose, but the animations for the gangs are going to be very unique, and that's very notable because there's going to be personality present in the actual representation of these gangs and how they move. And I absolutely love this. This is such big news, and I cannot wait to see the differences and nuances between all of these gangs and different characters from when you're in, Night City dealing with rich corporations. It seems like they're going to be moving differently from when you're on the streets or dealing with people that are in the Badlands. So that's very notable there. Now it says this first-person animations were built with traditional keyframe animations because mocap animation on first person had so many problems. Even many mocap animations took further hands-on work with keyframes because they are not always perfect. Every animation you'll see in Night City took some work for an animator to be perfect. And then it says There are a lot of details in first-person camera animations like head bobbing, etc. that you may not even notice, but they tried playing without it and something was off. All of that was procedural. So I'll note first of all about the keyframe animations. If I recall correctly, Call of Duty Modern Warfare uses this as well, and I guess it's one of the best way to animate reload animations in first person as opposed to using mocap for some reason. It just brings life to the reload animation. So I thought that was absolutely incredible that they took that route, and I know it's exceptionally time consuming over mocap, and you get that extra detail, and it's a huge payoff between taking the extra time and, you know, getting the detail in there, and I think it's worth it. And then they say this: your character will not have any head model during the first person, but that was a problem when your character casts shadows around you because so you will notice. They took an animator to remake all these things with a simplified model in third person only to have the right shadows. Okay, so that's somewhat rough translation there for sure. Then it says Mike Pondsmith was involved so much. He worked with CD Projekt RED on many things, and he was a constant presence in the studio. Sadly, I can't say that word because of monetization reasons, but you guys, the world situation, we'll call it, stopped Pondsmith to stay there beginning on March. A character in the game is inspired by him, and he even voiced his lines. That is very cool to hear. And again, it shows, you know, with the current world situation, you know, I do want to say yes, the 21 days delay is really a pain, but you got to remember that working from home and this whole situation in the world that we're going through definitely is going to influence development of anything, really. You've seen movies, games, everything being delayed. So, you know, I think that's very important to remind everyone about the world situation influencing that sort of thing. All right, and then it says this. He talks about the difference with the 90s RPG game. They put more freedom on classes, but things like the name of the abilities, accessories, etc. are all took from the tabletop game. He says that he can't talk about the expansions, however, he confirms that things like skills will be added in there. He talks about the main quest. The Witcher 3 was a little too long, so they shortened that for Cyberpunk. Now, it's really notable there that with the expansions, we're not only going to be getting, you know, in my opinion, maybe new map or something like that, but it looks like we're going to be getting additional skills and gameplay enhancements. So that's super important to note right there, and I think that's really cool that they're going to be expanding the actual core of the game as the game life actually progresses. All right, it says you can kill or steal cars from Corpo members. Many NPCs have the faces of CD Projekt RED developers. And he says he talks about the current gen consoles. He admits that the quality of the PS4 and Xbox One versions of Cyberpunk is not currently on the spot that they want. And that's super disappointing to hear that they're having so much problems with that. I don't understand what the deal is there, but it seems like to me that they really want this game to be like a next-gen game or just a better experience, you know, perhaps, this is just me speculating, perhaps it's going to be a better experience on next-gen consoles. I'm kind of a little apprehensive as to what's going on with the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game at this point. But hopefully they turn out really well. And again, you know, you look at The Witcher 3 and it's, you know, if it released nowadays, it's still a stellar game. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I can't believe they got that tech running on Xbox One and PS4. So in that way, I have hope, you know, that they pulled off The Witcher 3, they can pull this off. All right, let's keep going. It says all of CD Projekt RED developers are working from home due to the world situation. This wasn't really an issue in the early stages, but especially in the last months when they put together all of the material they had together, it was a difficult process, so that took so much time. So yeah, they reiterate that right there. And he says he talks about more inspirations to The Expanse, RoboCop, Terminator 1 and 2. That's awesome. Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies. And they say enemies will not be bullet sponges. However, he says that if you shoot in the head a character who is many levels above you, he won't die. So you can see that facing off against characters that are higher levels isn't going to be the wisest decision. And I think this game is going to work like a lot of open world RPGs in that you're going to have areas where you're out leveled and you're going to want to build up your character by pursuing other, you know, activities to level up and then prepare, and then you're finally ready to go into that really dangerous area, and then you can do that finally while you are matched with an enemy's level. So I think that's going to be the idea here with the game. Furthermore, he says this, he talks about RPG elements of the game. The perks and enhancements you put on your character will have visual representation. Eyes can zoom and report specific things. Some perks and enhancements can unlock alternatives on dialogue options. So that's really cool to see that, you know, you can get certain perks and enhancements that can actually, well, enhance what you see in your environment and give you more feedback in terms of the information that you receive. All right, and then he says this, he jokes about that he was working for Crytek when the first teaser of Cyberpunk was released. When he saw that, he decided to move into CD Projekt RED because he wanted to work on Cyberpunk so much. He started in 2017. So that to me is really important because Crytek, they're a badass studio. Believe you me, they are a really, really good studio, and to see that type of caliber of talent on the team at CD Projekt RED is really impressive. And again, gives a lot of hope to this game, no doubt. All right, you know what time it is? Top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below because it could actually end up right here in a future video. Let's do this. All right, Zachary Berkery says this, journalism no longer reports information, facts, and allows people to make their own decision on that info. Journalism has turned info into how many clicks you can get no matter the validity of the info. It's a sad mess of what it has become. So he's referring to the journalists that covered the crunch that, you know, developers are under for Cyberpunk 2077. We've heard about crunch when it came to Red Dead Redemption 2, and we heard about it again with Cyberpunk 2077. I wanted to offer two perspectives on that, you know, from both worlds, from the developer side of things and then also journalists. And yeah, the gist of it, my recent video was that, you know, that there's some misinformation apparently about the development crunch for Cyberpunk 2077. But in my opinion, we really don't know the true story unless we're working at CD Projekt RED. And I think that, you know, they should just be left alone to work on the game and finish it without any interruption. And then perhaps we could talk about crunch. But I say let them work on the game. You know, that's just my opinion. Let them finish the game. All right, then we have this. H2400909 says, can't say there is much news here, to be honest. Developers try to meet a deadline. Things go wrong. Media shames developers' company. And finally, media turns on itself. Then all this leaves is us, the consumer, wondering what's going on and arguing about who to believe. It's a vicious cycle. And he says, edit, I know that it's vicious, not vicious, but I've decided it works either way, so I'm not changing it. I found that small little detail there funny. All right, yeah, you know, I hear you on that one. It's just this absolute vicious cycle, and I don't even know if any good is coming out of reporting on it. You know, I'm not too sure if more bad has come out of, you know, getting in the developer's way and trying to stir up trouble. Let me know your opinion about it. Again, it's tough to say. There's so many different stories, so many different angles and perspectives, and that's one of the problems, is that the truth can get muddied in such waters. All right, Jeff the Feeder says, it's called overtime. If you have a job, you know how it works. And then Justin agreed, it's called overtime, and everybody with a job have to do it at some point. The fact that this is only found to be an issue in the gaming industry puzzles me to no end. So yeah, that is the issue for sure. And I think it comes down to like crunch time and overtime being so extensive and long term, because overtime is considered more of a short term thing. But from what I gather, crunch time in this with developers can actually be in the long term, and that's something that's that they're looking at, I suppose. All right, we have Isaiah Moore who says, like I said, thanks for covering this. I'm so high for the game. Can't wait. It's been a long time coming. A lot of you agree. I personally can't wait. You know, there's a lot of people saying that the hype of has died off for this game. I think that's going to be temporary, to be honest with you. I think it's going to release and it's going to spread like wildfire through word of mouth for sure. All right, that's the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I appreciate you tuning in. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk 2077 updates and news, and I will see you next time. Take care.